Hey, hey everybody. I don't know who is listening in just yet or not, but this is on the Forecheck. I'm Bryan, obviously, and I'm joined by Shaun and Nick. How you guys doing?
Howdy. It's Friday.
Yep, hear that. So I know that we've been like watching a ton of hockey, but not don't have really much hockey for ourselves, and so I wanted to get some questions from readers and people on Twitter that to answer, see if we could take a stab at it. So I guess we can just go ahead and start now. Let's find the first one. Okay, this was actually a good one. Is there a certain type of player out there that could help this team moving forward? With the cap situation, not sure what could be brought in via trade or free agency. Can we solely look to the kids in Milwaukee? So, what do you guys? If let's say Nick, if you want to start, what do you think a type of player that Nashville should be bringing in?
Connor McDavid
Well, yes.
player that Nashville should. To answer the question, I think. So when I look at the Nashville roster, I think of this. I don't think they need to tear it all down, which I guess is the popular word that everybody's using. I think obviously they have some stuff with Jofa. They're very solid first line. I think if you do look into free agency this year, I think it's more of a bottom six or complementary role. I think they're going to give some internal candidates a shot at the top six, whether it be Tolman, Tomasino. I think a guy like Eric Howland might be for the Preds this year, especially if there are whatever happens with Bonino or Turris. Howell is a guy that using a lot of different situations, move up and down the lineup. Very good defensively. I think he's going to get a big contract situation. Up front, I think there's movement this summer.
Sean, what do you think?
I say blow it all up. The question was what type of player do you need to come in? I think realistically, the problem is the player you really need to come in and make a big impact. Opposite of what Nick's saying, is that you can't afford him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so if you really want to get somebody that is going to make a major impact, you're going to have to pay for it. You're going to have to pay for it. And I don't think the Predators that kind of money this summer. I think it's a youth movement. I think that's what you're going to see. Yeah, you might see somebody get brought in, Nick said, but I don't know. I'm not really sure how the cards are going to shake out. There's pieces that I think could be moved would make a lot more room on the roster than we're already thinking. But if those pieces stay, then maybe there's not as big of a need to bring other people in from the outside as opposed to guys from Milwaukee.
Yeah, and the thing for me, I know a lot of people kind of said, you guys included, that I can hear myself. Has somebody got the audio playing?
I can hear myself too.
I don't hear anybody but you guys.
Okay. I think I meant me coming from you, but that's all right. I'll see if I can. No, but I think that the core of the team, I guess the guys that we know will be back next year, are definitely something you can work with. I mean, I don't think. I mean, blowing it all up, it may be not quite the right answer, but when you've got Jofa to build around, and you have Matt Duchene, there's no really option, with him, and you've got. Bonino's scheduled to be back. He should be back, and I honestly don't know if him being traded this offseason will do much in the cap situation that they're dealing with, because I don't see them moving Bonino but not moving Turris. I mean, so I think Bonino will be back, and he's the type of guy that they're going to want to keep on this team. And so you've got 6 guys that you can build around, and every free agent, like most of the free agents that Nashville has brought in, really hasn't helped. It's been trouble fitting in. It's never been the immediate impact everybody expects it to be. And so, I'd like to see Trennan and Blackwell and Tolvanen get some time. But not not at the expense of getting spending another $6 million on some guy to be a middle six player, and with how the system is, and maybe it's be in transition, but the way the system is right now, are you going to slot this guy who's like a 50-point player somewhere else, and where he becomes a 30-point player in Nashville? So yeah, the youth will be good. I think any veterans to come in will be like a situation like they did with Dan Hamhuis when they brought him in to be a veteran player on that bottom pair, be someone on the fourth line. But yeah, this is a time to give. I fully expect Tomasino just to play game one next season. So, and he's probably going to be playing wherever Turris would be. So, yeah. So that's what I think about that. Are there you said Halla, Nick, for someone to bring in? Shaun, is there like one player out there you think with the cap situation being what it is that you think could that Nashville could bring in that might make an impact but be sensible?
No, I just want hurt feelings and scorched earth policy.
Well, you're that's the right place for that.
I know.
All right.
I think the Bryan's point too. I think if you do make a move, other than that, I think you have to address that bottom pair. And it's a role similar to what Hans played this year, but a little bit better than Hans played this year. That bottom pair killed them in games for a lot of years. And no, absolutely not is the bottom pair going to win or lose you a game. But when you look at Phoenix or Arizona, I'm living in 2012, whatever. When you look at Arizona, and Jordan Osterley, who's their like sixth defenseman, played 16 minutes a game. And then you look over at Nashville, and neither Weber nor Tenorti played more than 10 minutes a game. Those are key minutes, and that bottom pair, if you have a good bottom pair that you can put out there late in the game to do some critical shifts, that's a difference maker. I don't care what anybody says. Nobody expects him to be as good as Yossi or Ellis or anybody like that. But you do expect them to get good minutes. You expect them to be able to go out there and not make a ton of mistakes. And that's not something the Preds got from really any of their defensemen beyond the top four. So I think you do have to, I don't know how much you trust an all-rookie pair of Davies, Allard, Carrier, who else you put down there. But I think you have to have at least one guy with NHL experience who's proven that he can play in a lot of different situations there. I think that's something the Preds lack this year.
I think to build on that, realistically, if you're looking at the bottom pairing for the Predators going back quite a few years, I think a lot of people complain, it's a third pairing, they're not going to be great, they're not going to be outstanding. But I think the third pairing, at least for the Preds for the past several years, has really been a big Achilles heel because they're not playing, anywhere near the number of minutes they need to be playing. Keeping them really, it's like we've got to put two more guys out there just to give the other four guys a chance to breathe. And you want to see a few more minutes out of them, and you want to see just a little bit better defense than you're seeing. So when people say, well, it's the third pair, you're not going to get, you're not going to get Roman Josi and Ryan Ellis down there. No, but we certainly feel like there's maybe there's like one step above what we've had for several years that would be the difference maker, and at least not just being a sieve during the time that they're on the ice.
So I have a follow-up question. This is from me, but it segues nice from this. But for next season, how would you guys feel about the possibility of splitting Ellis and Josi, putting Ellis with Ekholm and Josi with Fabro, to kind of, because there's just a ton of talent on that first pairing with Bryan Ellis, and I think that he could bring a lot of stability alongside Ekholm on the second pair. But at the same time, I'm very hesitant about it because you don't want to break up like one of the best tandems in the entire NHL. So I don't know. I want to know what you guys think about that, because I usually get shouted down when I bring it up.
Well, you also have to think about how Fabro played this year. And a lot of people forgot he's a rookie defenseman. Mm-hmm. And, I know, Bryan, you in the past said, there's maybe some things that indicated that Ekholm's down year was due to Fabro being a rookie at times.
A little bit.
So you also have to count, and, you have to kind of guess, okay, how good is Ekholm? How much better is Ekholm going to be next year if Fabro has another year under him. And for that matter, how much more is Fabro going to advance his game next year with another year of NHL experience? So I think it depends on that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Yossi and Fabro play very similar types of game. That's why I like, give or take. But I mean,
No, I can see that, I guess.
Yeah, the offensive driving defenseman. Mm-hmm. So I think putting Ellis there with Yossi complements him in the same way that Ekholm with Fabro complements him. I think, on paper, they wipe out a lot of their, shortcomings and highlight a lot of their strengths.
Right.
So that's me. I would see how that happens first because Roman Yossi and Ryan Ellis are right now maybe the best two-way pair in the NHL. At least this year. At least by the end of the regular season, I think they were.
I think that's pretty safe to say.
So I think that's a pair that can steal you games and win some key moments. So I don't know if I'd break them up.
What about you, Shaun?
So I know that for as long as I've known you, Bryan, Ellis Ekholm pair has your fantasy pair.
Well, I mean, I can't have Subban and Ekholm back, so I mean,
right.
And it's really not because of any particular reason for them. It's just that I think that there's so much talent between Yossi and Ellis, and that Ellis can move the puck pretty well too. He's not on the same level as Yossi, but nobody is. And so it's almost one of those, do you spread out your talent rather than having it all concentrated? And so you have such a drop off when you get down to your second pair, because that's what I worry about more than anything.
I think if you move Ellis down with Ekholm, you have to look at how does Ekholm's style of play lift Ellis up, and then if you're moving Fabro up with Yossi, how much does Fabro benefit from that time with Yossi studying under a master craftsman? If you're looking at this as an apprentice, there's not a lot of people better to learn from. So I don't know if that's a commitment I'd want to make long term. If you're looking at why don't we do this during training camp? Why don't we try this out during some of the preseason type games and see how it goes. And that way you always can switch back to the familiarity of their old partners if you needed to.
Yeah, and I mean, a part of that is I think that one reason it would work is like for Fabro, for example. Yossi he's fantastic when he's driving the puck. Like when he's getting it and he's taking it in and going behind the net, things like that. He does really well, and you see it on the power play, especially in the playoffs, the Arizona series, which the power play was strangely like a strength all series. But I think that would help Fabro, because Fabro could play safe defense and kind of stay where a defenseman's supposed to be if Yossi's pushing up, and so he's not gonna be counted on for anything other than taking a point shot or something like that, because they're not going to really think that he's going to drive up, and he's going to be back. He's going to have, more of the ice in front of him. So if the puck starts going the other way, he's at least in the position where he can get back. And so for Ekholm and Ellis is kind of, again, he can attack with the puck, and Ekholm can still stay and play defense like he did alongside Subban. And he didn't have to worry so much about. Ekholm got better over the years, but he was never known until this season for taking the puck out of the zone, ever. He used to I remember how many times he used to sit in the defensive zone and just wait until Subban would skate back so he could give it to PK and then skate his way up. So having Ellis on that, again, you could use Fabro and you could use Ekholm on those pairings to kind of sit back and play a little bit more safely. And, you can then have Yossi on one pair and Ellis on the other, both attack and kind of, act as extra forwards. So that's kind of my thought on it. But again, I'm real hesitant to break up the best pair, best defensive pair in the NHL. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if they try it. I doubt they will, but we'll see, I suppose. All right. So another question. Let's see. So here's one said, and we may have to address part of it, but it says, so who of Craig Smith, Mikael Granlund, and Rocco Grimaldi will be back for next season, which we had to remind him, Rocco Grimaldi's under contract, so he's going to stay. But so I guess this narrows it down to, do you guys think either Craig Smith or Mikael Granlund will be back next year?
Not after David Boyle's press conference.
Yeah, right.
I think there's maybe a 10% chance Granlund's back. I think there's a 1-0% chance Craig Smith is back.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that's pretty straightforward.
Well, and looking at like contract projections and stuff like that based on past things, like Granlund's is projected that his value would be somewhere in like the 6+ range, and I don't know that Nashville would want to pay that for him. And I think Craig Smith was more down at 4 or 4.5. And I think with Craig Smith being drafted here, I've always thought that he would probably have more of a chance of staying rather than Granlund, but I don't know. I think after talking to so many people that who write about other teams and being like, you tell me about Craig Smith so I can write about him, so maybe the market's going to be a little bit higher for him. I will say that third line, well, both of their lines, Granlund and Smith, like, were not as impressive in the playoffs. The third line was the one. I thought the third line was going to be the reason Nashville won the series, was because they're going to use that line and to have depth against the Arizona bottom six and just take over. And they were, I mean, outside of the Bonino had one goal, I think, right? Like game 2?
Yeah.
But they seemed, I mean, Grimaldi had moments, but they seemed kind of invisible the whole series. And so I was thinking that the playoffs were going to be a kind of a litmus test to see, people are going to be sitting there watching Granlund, watching Smith, and seeing what they thought about him. But, yeah, I don't know. Shaun, what do you think?
So if I go back to before the pause, and I think about covering one of the games at Bridgestone, right? I guess leading up to the trade deadline. I was sitting next to a scout. I can't remember which team he was from, but that was one of the few games where my side, I called my side of the box, but where that side of the press box was really full, and he was taking notes on Craig Smith like crazy. And it seems to me that given the David Boyle souring on both of those guys, in combination with if you look at the other teams, they're not interested in him based on what he did based on what he did with his qualifiers. They're interested in what they've seen the rest of the season and what they think he can do and what they think he can do with the guys. I think there's a chance that he end up getting more than the Predators want to pay for him. And I don't think Granlund's going to be back either. And I base that on nothing other than he just didn't really show up to make them want to spend the kind of money that it's going to take.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, Craig Smith had a great year. I mean, I think, if the season hadn't stopped, I think he would have gotten his prerequisite 20 goals like every other season. But I don't know, like he had a good season, and I think he's probably got about 2, maybe 3 more before the forward decline happens. So I don't know, like I thought back at trade deadline, the fact that they sat on their hands and did nothing, along with the fact that we kind of knew that the situation with Turris was going to come to a head, and they're going to have to retain some salary, but they'd get a chunk of it knocked off. I thought that the reason they didn't do anything was so that they could try and re-sign both of them. Now, it would make sense if they focus on one or the other, and whoever is willing to accept a lower offer, that's who they take, and let the other one go. But I'm guessing I think I'm with you now at this point that there's probably 0 chance that we're going to see both of them back.
Yeah, for sure. And on that point, I think free agency, especially this summer, beyond Taylor Hall, who may still sign with the guys, there's not a lot of high-end offensive talent. And given Granlund's past, he's going to get close to $6 million. If not more than that. So I think for the Preds, I don't think he's quite a fit in the system enough to justify $6 million. That's not saying he's a bad player. I think we saw in the second half, he certainly played a lot better under Hines' system. So I think that's why a lot of people towards the end of the year were like, okay, well, maybe there is a chance we sign Granlund now. but I just don't think the salary is going to justify that. I think if it was one of those two, I think you would go with Granlund just because I think there's more potential there. Craig Smith is a great player. He's done a lot for this team, but I just don't think he's going to be the type of player that this team needs right now. He's a guy that can go to a Washington, a Pittsburgh, a Tampa Bay, a team that's right there. And be that last third line piece.
Right.
But I just don't think that's the type of player the Preds are going to need to get over the hump right now.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. And so the second part of that question was, will Tolvanen or Pitlick finally get a long look? So I know we've talked about Tolvanen a little bit. So we'll start with him and just kind of go quickly, but what are your feelings on, do you think Tolvanen makes the roster full-time starting at this next season, or do you think that he spends more time in Milwaukee, once the season gets going?
Based on what Boyle said, I think he's going to get a start in Nashville. I think he's kind of been a guy that a lot of fans have soured on, but he still has a lot of potential. A lot of people think he's only 20. He's only a kid. He's got a lot of room to grow. I remember everybody thinking Mark Scheifele was a bust for 4 or 5 years in Winnipeg, and look at that. Boyle seems confident that he could be a fit with somebody like Matt Duchene, and when you watch their game, they are two players that complement each other really well in terms of style. Duchene kind of that physical, below the goal line type of player. Tolvanen's a guy who likes to break to the front of the net a lot. So the styles mash up. Certainly I think a lot better than somebody like Granlund and Duchene would. So I think he's going to get every opportunity to make the roster, especially because I don't think the Preds are going to have a lot of top 6 options come in from outside.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Shaun?
Okay, so I'm going to do some speculation here. All right, so just bear with me.
Yeah, go ahead.
So let's say that there's a lot of room on the roster, right? Let's say, for the sake of just speculation, that Duchene is the only second liner left on the team. Speaking of Tolvanen, I'm curious before I make this leap, but as far as style of play goes, who do you think he best, if you look at an active member of the Preds roster, who does he remind you of the most with style of play?
Who, Tolvanen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is going to sound weird, but I would say Craig Smith.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, but I think Eric said Eric did say he's made a lot of good strides as far as moving the puck and stuff this year in Milwaukee. That's why we need him here, because I have watched maybe 10 Milwaukee games this season, and that's it. So
Eric's better than me. So
him or Rachel are two Milwaukee Admirals experts.
Yeah. But Eric did say he is moving the puck a little bit better, because initially I would say Craig Smith too, because just be like, let's fire the puck. Now, granted, he did have a ton of attempts this season, but you want that guy who's just shooting at the net. But he's not going to be Arvidsson type, I think, maybe.
I sometimes he reminds me, at least with the ability to shoot, and the positions he gets himself into, of Forsberg. And if you remember Forsberg coming down and playing with that line, that was a pretty good setup for a while there. So I think that you're looking at Tolvanen coming in and playing with Duchene. Speaking of Pitlick, big Pitlick fan here. So anytime that I do get the opportunity to see him, I try to really pay attention. He reminds me of a very hardworking Craig Smith. And so I feel like if you take someone of his caliber at that age, give him the chance to, mature into it a couple more years, I think he's going to be a pretty solid member of the third line, at least, and be a pretty good workhorse in that situation. I think a lot of the way he plays is going to, if they keep Bonino, which you think they will, I don't want them to get rid of Bonino. I think he would complement Bonino well on the third line, kind of sliding into that spot where Craig Smith was.
Mm-hmm.
That's
probably
just my opinion.
And that's a good thought. I think that does make sense.
Yeah.
So my follow-up question is thinking about the players that should or could come up and who could be there. Where do you put Tomasino? Do you put him down in the bottom 6, or do you put him up on line 2 and see how it works?
I mean, a top 6 that early is a big responsibility, but I think in terms of fit, he fits better up there on the second line than he does there with the third line.
Yeah.
I think third line, you look at the style, that Nick Bonino plays, that potentially Rem Pitlick's going to play, and then you have Grimaldi over there. Whether he stays on that third line or Yakov Trenin, somebody else comes up there, maybe even Kalle Järnkrok on that third wing. We don't talk about Järnkrok enough about how versatile he is, but he's a guy who can play.
Enough, but
for real. I think he's a guy that Kalle Järnkrok is almost like the Iron Patriot of the Nashville Predators. It's like you never remember Don Cheadle in the Avengers.
Is there any other reason you might be partial to Kalle Järnkrok?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, former Red Wings draft pick?
Yeah, I was just throwing it out. I had no idea about that, but.
Oh, I mean, at this point, I'd be bitter since he fell below Riley Sheehan in the pecking order. But no, I mean, Kalle Järnkrok's like one of those guys that you always, when you're listing Predators, you always forget about him. But then you watch him play, you watch him in the game, you forget just how good of a player he is, how versatile he is.
Yeah.
And this has absolutely nothing to do with Rem Pitlick, so I'm going to go back to Rem Pitlick. Actually, I think we were talking about Tomasino at that point.
Yeah, Tomasino.
Whatever. But yeah, I think you have to start Tomasino on the second line, see how it goes. I just don't think he's a fit in the style of play the Preds want to play in their bottom 6. So I think if Tomasino starts in the top 6 and things aren't working out, he can't keep up with the minutes. He's not contributing. I think you might see him go back to juniors after 10 games or so. But fit-wise, I think if you start Tomasino anywhere, it's going to be in that second pair.
Yeah, I mean, and the rumor is that he almost made the roster this year, and when I say made the roster, like he was coming to Nashville and staying in Nashville, and so, if he's a guy, I think right now he is the most talented prospect in the pipeline. And he went and scored 100 points in, not a full season. And he took off once he was traded to Oshawa. He was playing on a really bad Niagara team for half the season, and he got traded and just exploded. And so, I fully expect them to put him probably on that second line. It's probably a good spot because, Duchesne is going to be will be on that line to help. It's going to be a more skill base because, again, like you said, you're not going to put him with Bonino. I think with Craig Smith being gone, another player, like you said, players you kind of forget about when you're listing, is I'd like to put Sissons back with Bonino and have them be a defensive, like a checking line, because their defense last season was very, very good. Because Sissons is always one of those guys I always forget about, even though he's like indispensable. And so, where
cheap too.
What's that? Yeah. And so
too.
it's where do you put some of this youth, because some of this youth is going to end up in the bottom 6. And, you've got to pick and choose, but you don't want to have too much inexperience. You don't want to have Joe Feline being your veterans and then Duchesne with 2 rookies. So it's going to be interesting, but I think if there's probably a sure thing, I guess it would be like Tomasino will probably be put in the top 6 somewhere, and then a guy like, you can put Blackwell on the 4th line and he'll be fine. Yes, sir.
Okay. I have no idea what's going on over there.
I was raising my hand. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, just interrupt.
I didn't want to just bust in, but think about this, and maybe we're getting too far out there. But what if you didn't put Tolvanen on the second line? You put him on the first line, and you move Forsberg down to the second line with Duchesne and Tomasino.
They tried something similar to that this year, and it did not work.
I think you need Forsberg. Someone on that top line needs to be a guy that can reliably move the puck like all the way through, and Forsberg is that guy. I'm not Arvidsson's. He's not as good at it. Johansson's getting better, but I think that's why like whatever line Forsberg was on, that line was good. I could see putting Victor Arvidsson down maybe, but I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm saying this now, and I'm like, I'm worried about this now. So, all right.
I think you have to keep Jofa together. I think that's a requirement.
You can, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. All right. Let's move along. Let's see. I think there was one more I wanted to look at, and I cannot find it because I think they might have deleted it because I don't see it at all. Okay, I've got a question for you two, and this is always probably an obvious one, but who starts in net game 1 next season?
UC Saros.
Shaun?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Saros. And I feel bad saying it, but that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Unless it's just painfully obvious in camp that Pekka beyond and above better than Saros.
Okay.
Which I don't see happening. I think it's Saros.
Do you think we're going to see... I think this season ended up being pretty close to 50-50. Wasn't by design, but it ended up being that way. What do you think the split is next season for him?
I think it's pretty close to 50-50 again, maybe 55-45 in favor of Saros. I just think the Preds think that he's going to be the future. Maybe that's another debate for another day on whether we think he's going to be the long-term answer for them. But I think it's clear that he's going to be the best option right now. So I think he's going to get a lot of the early starts.
Shaun?
I have to agree with pretty much what Nick's saying, especially on the split. Pekka has one season left under contract?
That's correct. Yeah, let me look.
And so
they both do. Yeah,
they both do.
UC's an RFA, luckily, but
okay. Yeah. So I think what you're probably looking at happening at that point is, does Pekka retire, and do they start using Connor Ingram in that backup role after next season?
Yeah, I think that's the expectation.
Yeah,
I think that's the expectation.
So,
yeah,
you're looking at giving Saros kind of a little more than half, of the starts, and then moving him up to more starts the next season, so you can give the lower number of starts to Ingram to start working his way up as well.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, I can't. I want to say, the cynic in me wants to say that they'll start Pekka, game 1 because it's his last season and it's tradition, I guess, at this point. But yeah, and I mean, part of me would like to see it. Part of me would like to see him earn it in camp, But it's at this point you've just got to play who's best and know that you've got a 1A and a 1B, or I don't know, maybe a 2A and 2B, depending on how you want to look at it, how pessimistic you are. But yeah, I mean, I think I agree pretty much with that. So speaking along the same lines, I'm gonna go down a list, and I want you to tell me if you think they'll be here next season or not. Dan Muse.
Yes.
Dan Muse, you think so?
I think so. I think he's going to get another year with Hines. Just
Shaun?
To see how it did.
Probably.
Okay, I was gonna say no. All right. Dan Lambert. The guy that came in to, what was it, season before last, to fix the power play?
Yeah, no.
You don't think so, huh?
No.
Interesting.
What were you going to say?
I would say yes. I would have thought he would be the one to stay and Muse out.
But one of the things I noticed at camp was that when they came out to work on special teams, Hines took a step back and let Muse run things, which is why I said that I thought Muse would stay. Now, granted, Lambert was, running the other team at the same time, but you could kind of tell that Muse was in that second in command position pretty. I don't know. I think Muse. I think he does a good job. I think it's fun. It's fun to what's the word?
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Everybody has a good time at his expense, but I think he's pretty solid. I think he brings a lot of things to that coaching staff that I think Hines likes. And I feel like Lambert was someone that he inherited that he wasn't really sure why, if that makes sense. I don't know. I haven't talked to anybody, but
yeah.
I mean, it definitely seemed like Dan Lambert is more of a Laviolette guy, whereas Dan Muse is just kind of, a good hockey coach.
But wasn't Muse and what's his name? Like those are the guys that have traveled with Laviolette like every job, right? It was Muse and who's the other guy?
The guy, McCarthy.
Yeah, like
McCarthy.
those two. I thought those two had been with Laviolette like at every job, and Lambert was the one that Poyle brought in from Toronto, I guess, to run the power play, and it just seemed weird because it didn't seem like it was one of Laviolette's guys, and so I don't know. I had the opposite thing, and I mean, if I'm Hines, I might make an exception, but do you want to try to get rid of like all of the last shreds of Laviolette influence or not? Do you want to start over with this as being your team? That's, I don't know. So that's me. But next person I was going to ask about, and this is one they hired. I think he came with Hines, was Rob Scuderi. I don't know a ton about him. I don't know if y'all do or not. But
I don't.
Yeah, he's
not as a coach.
Yeah.
I think if it sounds like he was brought in with Hines. So
yeah, he came in at the same time.
He did. And I was going to say, I was remembering that they brought Muse in after Housley left.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Here's the last one. Ben Vanderklok, the goalie coach.
I know the goalies really like him.
Yeah, he's got a pretty good reputation. But do you keep him or do you try to bring someone in?
Who would you bring in?
I don't know. Don't ask me that question. I don't know anybody. But I mean, I know 2 goalie coaches, and one of them's not going to come back. So, I just. Do you think that'll happen, or do you think they'll keep him?
I think they keep him.
Yeah.
I don't think you disrupt too much of that goalie locker room right now. I think if it's a different situation, maybe in a couple of years if Pecker retires and you have UC and Ingram together. Mm-hmm. But I don't think you do a lot with that goalie room right now.
Right. Okay. All right. Let's see. I'm trying to think of one last question, and we can wrap up on this. I'm trying to think of something because I've run out of the questions that people submitted. You guys got anything? So it's not dead air and like really entertaining audio.
Yeah. What would you guys say if you had to point to one song as the standard for yacht rock? What would it be?
One song?
Yeah. Well,
like
if someone said what's yacht rock, you would say this is the song.
I mean, something by Steely Dan, I guess. I can't think of anything else. Like that would probably be my first instinct. I'm trying to resist the siren's call of being like fully in dad life by like not always listening to Steely Dan. But yeah, I think
or like Take It Easy by Eagles or something like that.
Oh.
Yeah.
What about
I think that genre.
What about Sailing by Christopher Cross?
Yeah, that's almost like there's a part of me that's like I can draw a line between like I can like okay I can still like listen to this and this is still good, and there's still a line where it's like okay this is getting kind of old, like too old for me type of a thing. But I don't know. Yeah, Christopher Cross that's a maybe possible case.
I think I'm older than you guys are.
I'm trying to think of another. Yeah, I don't know. That's probably going to be the best like. I don't know, like Player, Baby Come Back, like that. That's a yacht rock song. That's a jam. Like I'm sorry y'all had to hear me sing, but I love that song.
Played it yesterday, just for fun.
Yacht rock though. It's more kind of.
It's like 70s.
Yeah. Like soul.
I mean, like Hall & Oates counts, and Hall & Oates kind of has that, like, just.
I don't know if I'd call Hall & Oates yacht rock.
I would. I mean, that's they've got that, and again, I'm laughing because I'm getting ready to say something that's going to reflect on me. But Hall & Oates has that, like, that music has strong divorced dad energy. It's like you put that on for your lady friends type of things, and I mean it's good. Like I think it's yacht rock. I mean I don't know. Like, tell me I'm wrong, but I mean I think now I can say that. But
I think
yeah,
they're popular stuff. Wait, what?
I said I think we have very different eras because I can see my dad just throwing some hot dogs out of the backyard singing whoa, here she comes.
I don't think it's that. It's more like Sarah Smile or something.
Yeah.
Or what's the other one I could think of? It's like it's not quite those ones. Like it's not
the poppy ones.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that, but it's good. Yeah, Steely Dan's though. I think is the standard. I think that's the same. Like that's the one that you start with. But anyways, that's a good question, Shaun. That got me excited a little bit.
Sorry.
No, I like talking about music, so it's cool. Nick, do you got something you want to ask? It doesn't have to be hockey related. Probably better if it's not. I've got one. Hold on, actually. While you can think about it, Nick. I want you guys each. I'm gonna tell you if I think about my senior year of high school, and think about like what song was the most popular, like what played at prom or homecoming or whatever, like what was the big song. I'm going to tell you the song, and I want you guys to tell me what year I graduated high school. So for me, it's really obvious, but I had Lil Jon and East Side Boys. I had Usher. So what year did I graduate high school? If that was like the jam my senior year.
2005?
Yeah, that's dead on. Very nice.
Boom.
All right. You want to go next, Nick, or do you want to go, Shaun?
Let's see. Mine was I'm trying to think of the playlist. Let Me See a Grill by Paul Wall was a huge banger.
That's the same time frame too, though. Oh,
I will say this: it was that song came out maybe a year before senior year, but it was a banger senior year.
Let's see. Yeah.
2008.
Was it that late? I don't think so. I'm gonna say 2006.
Right in the middle, 2007.
So you graduated in 2007.
2007, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say because I think that song came out after I got out of high school. Okay. All right, Shaun. Here's the challenge. Let's go.
Okay. So our yearbook theme my senior year was All Eyes on Us from All Eyes on Me from Tupac.
Oh man. That's dope.
I know.
Let's see. Oh man, so that's what? That's 90, 93, 94 maybe?
Was that a little bit later?
Was Pac dead when you graduated high school? Did he die before you graduated?
I think he died my senior year.
So it's a nice tribute. It's good to see them growing up.
Yeah, that's a good question.
So 97, right?
That's it.
97? Okay.
Yeah, nice. I was gonna say 93, 94 was that's too early. That's right. That's still like early. Yeah. Okay. Nice. That's badass, Shaun. I like that.
Well, I didn't come up with it, but
no,
I supported it.
Yeah.
I mean, really, where I went to high school, we were all living thug life, so
yeah, well,
worked out.
Awesome. Okay, that was good. I like that. When we get anybody else to come on and do these, I want to do that same thing because I enjoy that very much. Because especially with me, like I grew up a military kid. I moved like every 4 years, and so when I think about music, I can usually place it within like a 3-year block of like what I was doing and where I lived at that time. And so that's kind of like a trick that I have. To be like, okay, where was I? I remember this song when I was in middle school when I lived in Japan. So. Anyways, all right. Well,
it's funny that you mentioned that because I was having this exact same conversation with somebody yesterday, where like I can go back through like my old playlist and like I can picture things that I did from like 2008 just by like listening to certain songs.
Yeah, it's a trip looking back. Like I found a big book of burned CDs about a year ago that I made in like from high school to like the first couple years of college, and it's. Yeah, the choices of it, the audio quality, it was interesting enough to say the least. But there's something. What do you got, Shaun?
Well, I happen to have my old CD booklet here. It's got all my CDs in it from high school, so it's like a trip down. Well, even after high school, but it's a trip down memory lane.
Do you have the album booklets and everything lined up in there? Oh, you did it right.
Oh man, look at that.
You did it right.
Weezer, Pearl Jam. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, I guess I'll ask one quick. Oh, what do you got?
Oh, I was Show and more.
I'll try to. I'm gonna think of one quick hockey question, and then we'll be done with it. So before we get to that, if anybody who's watching, this will be on replay. We'll post this on the site. You can find all three of us on the Forecheck at Projpat Summit for me. Shaun is at SCSOTF, and Nick is NS Morgan.
Underscore NS Morgan.
Okay, yeah. So follow all of us on Twitter immediately. We're gonna try again. We're trying to do more of these, and maybe
I'm watching Twitter now,
right?
To see if anybody's doing it.
We're gonna try to do these things a little bit more, like, maybe not be this long, but just be something quick, something to talk about, something that's going on, and get some interaction. So give us some feedback, whatever you think about this. So my question, last question, just rapid fire answer. How much longer do you think John Hynes is the coach of the Predators?
Does he have 2 years left on his contract?
I believe so. Yeah, rapid fire answers.
Okay, rapid fire answers. I think if he has a good year next year, if he does well with what I think will be somewhat of a
gut feeling right now, do you think do you think that just by what you know, like even just by your heart, do you think he's successful, or do you think he's done after his contract's up in 22?
I want him to be successful.
Well, I mean, okay. But what is your okay? But Nick, what about you? What do you feel is going to happen with Hynes? Do you think Hynes is going to be the guy or not?
Yes. Well, let me clarify with this. I think if it goes bad, I think David Poyle's gone before John Hynes.
I think Poyle might be gone before that anyways. I think maybe next year might be it. I think Poyle and Pekka may go out the same year, and that may be all of it. But, yeah. I like Hynes from what I've heard, and I've actually talked to somebody recently who knows him very well, and he's definitely like one of those players coach guys. I'm liking some of the stuff that I'm seeing with his system being implemented. I think Poyle did say that Hynes' system was like fully implemented now. The team was fully learned it, I guess.
That was Benino.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. I have dreams and aspirations of who I'd like to be coach of the Nashville Predators, and I'd like it to be something different. But I like Hynes enough that I'm willing to give it a shot. But I think with the roster the way it is, I'm not sure that he's that guy in 3 years. But okay. Well, anyways, sorry. I think that made both of you guys, like way more uncomfortable than I thought it would be the answer. But I don't think any of us are gonna hold each other to this. But thanks for.
I will.
Yeah. Thanks.
I wrote it down.
All right. Good. Thanks for joining me on this, and hopefully we can make these things a little bit less hectic to get set up. And for anybody out there watching, thank you, and we'll let you guys know when we do another one. So thanks a lot. Let me end the stream.